Are you dreaming of finding the perfect home, but feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the process? Today, we're deep diving into the world of home buying, breaking it down step by step from dreaming about your ideal home to actually turning that key in the front door of your very own place. Whether you're a first-time buyer or just looking to upgrade, I've got some insider tips. By the end of this video, you'll be armed with everything you need to confidently shop for a home. Don't just dream about your perfect home. Let's make it a reality. Subscribe, hit that bell, because your adventures to home ownership starts right now. First of all, stop listening to the negative Nancys. You got all these folks out there with all of the negative channels. You've seen the ones I'm talking about. It's insane. Standing next to the white wall, doing this with his white hair about how the market's gonna crash tomorrow. You know, he's been saying that for 3 straight years. In that time, the price of houses have dang near doubled nationwide. You really want to keep listening to the negative Nancy? Or do you want to be able to have a place and not have your rent go up and actually build equity? That's one of the first things you need to do. Stop listening to folks like that. Go ahead, do your own research, figure out if things are the best that they need to be for you. I want to get this out real quick about the National Association of Realtors. If you haven't been looking at the news lately, there's been this big settlement from lawsuits, and it's by the National Association of Realtors and a whole bunch of real estate companies. They're paying almost like $1 billion, and they've agreed to make some changes in the way we do things. And one of the things during the lawsuit is it came out that one of their complaints is saying that they were paying the buyer's agent, but the buyer wasn't under contract. So how do you pay somebody who's not under a contract with anyone? So one of the things the National Association of Realtors did do is they made a requirement that you be under contract with your agent now. It's known as a buyer-broker agreement, at least in this state. It can be called something else in other states, and it's probably going to change in its name. So it is quickly becoming a requirement. My company requires it out of the back because we're trying to get ahead of this. Many companies are starting to require it, and with the latest time period that we have, everyone in the country must be doing this by August, okay? Just so you know that. Now you're gonna have the question, do I now have to pay my agent? Well, that depends. According to a bunch of folks, especially the Department of Justice, they should really get out of this and leave things alone, because let's just be honest, this administration is just killing jobs and everything else. I don't want to be political or anything. Their thought pattern is, why shouldn't you pay for your own agent? For over 100 years, we know how things work. The seller paid for it out of their profits. Now they're coming up with, oh, you should pay for your own agent, like the seller pays for their own agent. But that hasn't come to fruition yet. What they're planning is, I don't know, this is just really interesting, is you can no longer offer compensation to the buyer's agent. This is another one of those things that's coming up starting in August, along with the contract, which you will have to sign. I don't see anyone really benefiting from this except for large companies, people with money and means. The first-time home buyer, they're gonna be just frankly screwed. The next, everyone wants to go to Disneyland. That's the way a lender explained it to me one day. Because when you go to a lender, they're like a proctologist. They're just looking up everything. Realtor, you're like, oh, let's go look at this house. Oh, look how beautiful the countertops are. Oh, that's a great 3-car garage. Oh my goodness, it has RV parking. Well, that's fun. And everyone likes to start with the realtor, and you should start with the realtor, but the real start needs to be with your lender, because you may think your credit's great. You may have gone to that company, Credit Karma, and they go, my credit is so great. I know it's great. I looked at Credit Karma. Well, let's just say it may not be accurate. Remember, Credit Karma is not loaning you any money to buy that house. The bank/the lender is. Even if you're a year out, you need to go to a lender and see where you stand, because there could be something in there that you don't know about. I've seen this more and more, and many times where people had stuff in their credit records they didn't know about. That's what that lender is for, to save you that, so you can get that fixed. Next one. Don't listen to the bibble babble BS. I had this client one time, and he had been working with this lender, and I guess it had taken a long time, like over a year for me to get his credit straight, and she was working with him, which is great. I don't try to steal or steer my clients towards a particular lender. The thing is, when I called her up, this guy needed help because he didn't have the money to foot the down payment. So it's gonna be hard enough to find someone at this time to pay his closing costs. So I go to the lender because most of the closing costs that you have come from the lender. And it's like, okay, how much are your costs? All she could do was talk about she didn't want to lose this guy. She spent an entire year getting him ready to buy a house. And she's, realtors, they steer their clients away to some other lender. And I'm like, all I want to know is how much are your costs? And she just kept talking about this. Don't take my client away. I'm like, it's this kind of crime where I can kind of understand sometimes where you have folks going like, what? Huh? Let me start with the realtor. No. And no matter what, I couldn't pull out what the numbers were from her. And you know why? Because they're probably too high. People, when they know that they're doing something wrong, they start diverting you. You ever walk in and your kid's doing something, you're going like, what are you doing? And they start giving you all this bibble babble BS. You know they're doing something wrong. Next, lenders ain't gonna like to hear this one. You need to compare a couple of lenders. The CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, that was created after the 2008 debacle to make sure that we never have these issues again. They want you to compare lenders and see which one's gonna have the lowest cost for you. Dirty little secret that lenders don't want you to know is that interest rate you're paying, that's not fixed. It's not 7% here and 7.5%. No, like everyone's paying 7 no matter where you go. The costs are not the same. There's all kinds of fees that they add in there. There's origination fees. But see, here's the thing. There's kind of like a base fee. It's the discount rate they have out there. The rates that they're charging you is based on how much profit they want to make. It's kind of like when you go to a used car dealer and they say, okay, it's 10% interest. I guess 10% will probably be good nowadays. Well, they bought it, for 8%, 7%. That float, they get to keep. And that's how it works in the lending industry. They don't want you to know that. Lenders make a lot more money than they let on. A friend's husband, who's a lender, one time at a Christmas party got a little drunk. And he was like, doing that little thing and talking to me. He's like, yeah, we don't want y'all to know how much we really make. They make about half of what a realtor makes on every transaction. But a realtor, let's say a full-time realtor, about 11 transactions a year. A good lender does 11 transactions in a month, which means if you do it in a year, in a month, divide by 62, multiply by 3. Yeah, they're making a lot of money. That's where the issue comes in. Another one you need to look out for is how you're being steered. I had a client one time, it's a very complicated story, but he decided to go with his friend who was a lender. Let's just put it this way. Didn't use Vaseline, didn't give him the benefit of a reach around. He paid about $7,500 that he didn't need to pay. But you can't talk people this stuff because that's their friend. On top of that, there's this one thing where it was a VA loan. In VA loans, the seller is supposed to pay for at that time, the seller was supposed to pay for the termite inspection. His friend goes, oh, we cover that, don't worry. Well, where they were buying a house at, they didn't have a contract with anyone, so they had to send someone out there and send him a $400 bill to him for the free termite inspection. Let me tell you something. Termite inspections are $65. Any house you see today is not going to be available when you're ready. So if you're doing I'm looking to buy a house in 6 months. Let's start looking at houses now so I can kind of see what the houses are like. That's great. Here's the problem. That house that you're looking at right now, let's say your budget's $500,000. You should probably be looking at a $475,000 house according to what part in history we're in. Can you imagine in 2000 you had said that? And then 6 months later, everyone was paying in this market $30,000 to $50,000 over? You wouldn't have found the same house. You need to wait until you're about 2 months out. Remember, I said, a year, 6 months minimum for the lender. When you actually go and look at houses, first of all, you need to have all of your finances in order, and you go at a time when you can buy a house. I mean, if you go 3 months out, that's not a big deal. Prices aren't going to change that much, but just look, change like $4,000, $9,000, whatever, over the last month? Do you have the difference? Not everyone does. So you can't always wait to find the right house I'll just look for a lender when I find the right house. Well, how long is that going to take for you to go through everything that you need to go through in the lending process? I don't know that. You don't know that. It could take a month. So all of a sudden the right house is gone. You need to be ready to buy a house the second you start looking for a home. Now that you know what you can afford, you need to start asking questions like, what are the HOAs like? What are the taxes? Because a newer house has higher taxes. Different parts of the city have higher taxes. We don't have like a flat tax. Now I'm talking for Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and Henderson here. You go and you buy a brand new house, your house in that neighborhood may be $2,000 a year in taxes. That brand new house that's equivalent may be $4,000, $6,000. Find these things out up front. How much is that HOA? Is it just really simple, $65 a month? Or is it $265? Now, what about the max payment you can actually afford? A lot of people just start looking at, oh, this house is this, and they start negotiating. I want to see if I can get it for this and all this stuff. What about the payment? I've seen so many people after they get the house they want, then they start looking at the payment and they're like, oh, I can't afford this. So don't just look at what the price of the house is. I hate to sound like a used car salesman, because you know, car salesmen, they don't want to talk about price, they want to talk about payments. Look at your payment. See if that's what you're comfortable with. Here's a perfect example of, are you comfortable with that? When I purchased my home, I based it off of my retirement because, you know, I was in the Air Force. I come here and I'm like, well, you know what? When I retire, I'm going to retire on this amount. So I was estimating it. So I want a payment of about this. I was given like the max, because back then VA loans, there was a limit that was the same as, you know, purchasing conventional loan or something. I was allowed the max. I could get anything up to the maximum amount. I didn't look anywhere near the max. You know why? Because I took into account my retirement. And I wanted to stay within this budget for a monthly payment because my retirement was going to be X. Because I knew I could pay my note, I could pay my utilities, I could put some food on the table, and I didn't take into account VA benefits or anything else. I just wanted to go from that perspective. You should go from that example also. Look 1, 2, 5 years down the road. Because remember, the lenders don't care about 1, 2, 5 years down the road, because after 6 months, they're going to sell that loan anyway. It's going to become somebody else's problem. Well, it's also your problem. Now, next, decide if you want to buy a resale home or a brand new build, or do you want to look at both? There are advantages to both. Resale home doesn't save you as much as it used to. There used to be this huge differential, like 40%, you know, so like if you had a house in a neighborhood and it was 500,000, there was a new build over there. Well, that new build was probably going to be like 750 or something. Well, that's 50%, but like 700. Well, that's not the truth anymore. If you live in a neighborhood that's 500,000, a new build may be about 575. So you're not paying as much over as you did in the past. And another thing, be careful up front telling your lender if you're looking for a new build. And the reason is they know that if you go into a new build, there is a 90% chance you are not going to use them. And you still may need that lender for multiple things, including the fact that you go like, oh, I found this beautiful home over here. So if you start depending on purchasing a new build and then you decide to go for something else, that new build lender may not be able to cover you. Whereas if you already have your loan established someplace else, you can always go with the new builder if they're offering you the incentives that make it worth you leaving your lender. Also, just because a new build is offering you incentives, that doesn't mean that your lender can't match them. Remember when I said about those spreads and all that other stuff? There's money built into that for them to give you. A little secret they don't want you to know about. It's there. Now you need to decide what your wants and needs are and your non-negotiables. Because a lot of times we go in with all these hairy-fairy ideas of what we want, when in reality we need something different. That's why you need to sit down with your lender and actually hash these things out. And sometimes the whys, when you're sitting around, okay, you're just talking about the beds, baths, pool, yard size, if it's single family, condo, townhome, where in town. Yeah, these are things your realtor needs to know, but why? Think about this. You say, I need a 4-bedroom home. Okay, so you're looking at 4-bedroom homes. Well, why did you need that 4th bedroom? Oh, the 4th bedroom was gonna be my office. 4th bedroom was gonna be my gym. Did you know there are other rooms in houses that are not considered bedrooms? That are, like dens? You have nice lofts, bonus rooms. Oh, do you need a closet in certain things in your office? If you don't, guess what? You just pulled out a whole bunch of houses that could have been less expensive for you because you didn't really address why you needed that 4th bedroom. So always talk to your lender and have them go deeper into why you're doing it. I know sometimes you don't want people in your business. That's why you want to go to the realtor first and look at houses instead of going to a lender. These are the things that are going to save you. So the next thing is, what about the neighborhoods? What neighborhoods do I live in? Well, the realtor can give you a general idea, but they can't steer you towards a certain neighborhood. It's very contentious about it. They can't say, this is a good neighborhood, this is a bad neighborhood. Well, if you look below, you see my AI-driven tool. A friend of mine came up with it, and it actually allows you to put in your criteria for the home that you're looking for, and then it gives you suggestions. And then you can go with your realtor with those suggestions, and believe it or not, it works nationwide. So that's actually good for you, because not everybody who's listening to me is in Las Vegas, but at least you have a better chance of finding what you're looking for. Now you can start looking up homes. If you look down below also, you'll see my website. You can go down there, look up all the homes here in the Las Vegas area. And also I may put another link. I have a homes.com pro account. So, I'll be nice. I'll let you look in other parts of the country too. It'll probably help you out. Another thing, and I found this to be very helpful, especially from people who, come here from another part of the country, our Californians and such. I suggest you take a day and drive around and see what each side of town looks like, and if you want to live there. Working with a client right now, hopefully we'll be going into contract today. They said one of the most helpful things they did was for me to give them houses as we went through this process, and for them just to go there and just drive around, spend a little time and feel what it was like to be there. You can stage a home with ChatGPT. You don't even have to Photoshop anything anymore. And the reason I bring this up, remember, when you go to a home for some odd reason, you like it to be empty because you can imagine what your couch looks like. Does my bed fit in here? I got a king size. But when you're looking at the pictures, and now everyone's doing this AI with the staging. Hopefully right now I'm showing you some pictures or something from some AI staging I've done. Just take that with a grain of salt. That's what the house is going to look like when it's perfect. When you go there and it's empty, it's fine. Take a tape measure with you. It's one of the tips I have. As a matter of fact, I give my clients a tape measure if they ask for it. I carry 2 tape measures, one with a laser on it and a separate laser in my car, just in case. That way everyone has everything they need, because you want to put in the right offer. Speaking of offers, when making an offer, make it the best offer you can and make it fast. Sometimes we want to go let's go home and think about this for a bit. You should, but think about this for a bit is not 3 days. I've seen so many people think about it, and then 3 days come by and it's like, okay, we want to put the offer on 123 Main Street. You call the agent, and 123 Main Street, they accept an offer yesterday. They accepted an offer, but I really wanted that house. Well, why did you take 3 days? See, here's my fear. My fear is you may become reckless. And what I mean by that is sometimes people go oh, I got 3 months to find a house. So they start doing all stuff and they start trying the low ball offer game. Do you think they will take this? Okay, great. But now they're a month out. Oops, their house closes in 2 weeks. Oops, I gotta find a house. So they become reckless, and then they just start putting in offers for above list price. Talk to your realtor before you talk about putting in an offer. Don't do do you think they will take game? Now, my next biggest advice is to stop the scroll. Once your offer's been accepted, stop looking online and follow the process, because let me tell you, new homes are gonna come on daily, and homes that you missed, you're gonna see. And they're gonna keep playing this over and over. I've seen people where they've done this and it didn't work out for them, where they put an offer in, it's accepted, and then they go, oh my goodness, I've seen the perfect house. I wanna go see it now. Then they sit and say, oh, I wanna put an offer in on this one. But you have the offer. No, sometimes they don't even want to tell you to pull the offer on the other one. They just say, let's put the offer on this one. But then 2 days later, it's accepted, and then you get a call. Then it happens 2 or 3 times, and now, kind of word gets around. Can you imagine being in a small town doing that? So new houses are always coming on the market. Be very careful about doing that. Next one is expert realtors show houses in a certain order. And the reason they do that has to do with human psychology. So let's say they just showed you houses. I mean, it kind of doesn't work in some places when they're too big, and they showed you this house and it was just absolutely perfect. It ticked every box. Did you know psychologically a lot of people will not buy that house? Right now you're going like, that don't make any sense. Here's the reason they don't buy that house. It was too perfect. If I found the perfect house, I can find one even better. So what expert realtors do is the house, let's say they had the time and you're in the good price range. Let's say for here, maybe $800,000-900,000. When they preview those houses for you ahead of time, they put it in order. And the worst house is the last. The house that they know that ticks all your boxes. Let's say you're saying 5 houses, that's gonna be house number 4. This is a trick, because when you see the perfect house, you go, oh my goodness. And then you go to the last house and it was the worst of the 5. You will always buy that 4th house. Now you're gonna have some questions like, what do I have to put down? Well, it's according to the type of loan you have. We'll do a separate video on loans. Basically, VA, nothing, 3.5% for FHA, and 3 to 20% or more for conventional. Can I get my money back? Yes. We do not have walkaway money here, which is something that actually exists in other parts of the country. It's actually hard to believe that something like this exists, but in a way it makes sense. I gotta give you, this is not EMD, earnest money. I gotta give you $5,000 walkaway money. I hear this happens on the East Coast. So if I walk away, at least you have $5,000, no questions asked. Because I know that at the top of the pandemic, you see the South Carolina, North Carolina, the average had gotten up to $95,000 in walkaway money. Whew. You gotta really want a house then, right? Next question, can I get closing costs? Maybe. It's according to what the market's doing, how great the house is. Right now, you're normally gonna get closing costs on a new build for a resale. Remember, it's more emotional for them. The easiest way to get closing costs is to not go for ooh. And what I mean by ooh, when you go into a house, you're like, this is so perfect. I love this house, ooh. So you're less likely for you to get closing costs. House has been overpriced, and it took them a while to come to the realization that the market was not gonna catch up to them. Those are good choices. Houses where they didn't have the upkeep and the seller did the old, my house is as good as every other house when it's not. Those are going to be prime to get that money. Do you think they will take X? Please stop asking that question. Please ask, what is this house worth? Is it worth what they're asking? Is it overpriced or underpriced? You know why most people overprice their houses? Because of people saying, do you think they will take X? Some people price their houses low on purpose. The reason they price their houses low is because they will get more competition and actually make more money. It's the smartest thing. But when you come in and the house is $500,000 and you go, do you think they'll take $475,000? Well, the house is worth $425,000. House is probably gonna sell for $430,000, $435,000. You may have missed your blessing because you did the I want to pay X under game. Pay X under what it's worth, not what they're asking for it. You get the difference? Next, be careful when looking at comps. Don't make up a story. I see this so often. If I put comps in front of a seller or a buyer, they make up a story to fit their narrative. Well, what's your narrative? Well, if you're a seller, you're going to look at the higher end comps, maybe houses that have been completely refurbished and yours hasn't. And you're going like, yeah, my house is the same. On the buy side, you're ignoring the ones that have been fixed up. Even though the house is normal, it's good. You're looking at the ones that are trashed out. Don't let it make that story up for you. Look at the comps, work with your agent, figure out what's the best price. But remember, overall, you're going to make that offer, sink or swim. That is what's going to happen. What about the inspection? Try to arrange that ahead of time if you can. If you're looking at a house, there's a good chance that it's a house you're putting an offer in. I would arrange it ahead of time and go like, you know what, I figure they'll take them a day or two. I'd be available on Thursday. Let's go ahead and make that arrangement. You can always cancel 24 hours out if it's not accepted or you're still in negotiations, or maybe you still want to have it. They may love it because they're getting an inspection done. Just don't give them a copy of it if it doesn't go through, okay? I recommend inspections even for new builds. I probably want to do a video about this. New builds can have some problems, but guess what? If you get an inspection, they will fix them. And most of the builders around here will let your inspector in and they will honor what your inspector says and they will fix it. As a matter of fact, I would do 2 inspections. I would do one right before your walkthrough for them to actually fix those items, and I'd do one at 10 months. Now, I'm gonna answer these 6 questions, or at least talk about them, of things we are not allowed to tell you because it's considered steering and redlining, all kinds of crazy stuff. Are the schools good here? We're not allowed to tell you that. We can tell you to go places like greatschools.org or niche.com. These are the authoritative sources. When I do neighborhood tours, I do talk about the school ratings sometimes. If they're not good, I kind of skip them because I don't want somebody to say I'm trying to steer someone. But I direct you to those sites. Do families live in this neighborhood? I can't tell you that because that's discriminating against people based upon their familiar status. Can you only show me a neighborhood with a lot of, oh man, I'm gonna have to say it, white people, black people, Asians, Hispanics? No, I cannot do that. If you want to do that, that's on you, period. Okay? Can you tell me if there are a lot of Italians, Koreans, Middle Easterns, any country of origin living in the neighborhood? No, I cannot. Go find that on your own. That is, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Can you tell me if there are a lot of people of a certain faith in the neighborhood? I cannot. Usually if you're a member of a certain religion, you're probably gonna know what the neighborhoods are yourself anyway, unless you're just moving from someplace else, but then contact your friends. I cannot tell you that, neither can any other realtor. Now, fortunately, I hear about people telling me, well, this realtor told me. Well, that realtor did wrong. Can you tell me if it's a quiet neighborhood? What's quiet for you is not quiet for me. I cannot tell you that. Are there a lot of empty nesters here? No, I cannot tell you that. Well, is this a safe neighborhood? What about crime? I can't tell you that. I direct you to crimegrades.com. What about getting around? Oh, this is a hard one because, you know, you could be considered discriminating by talking about it's within walking distance. It doesn't just talk about walking, it talks about other things. Walkscore.com, go there. How livable is the community? Guess what? The AARP has just come up with their own livability score. Just go there. You don't even have to be a member, not even a card-carrying member. You can keep it on your phones now. How much are the utilities? That's easy to find. This is open record state. Believe it or not, if you call up the utilities and ask the question, you say, I am considering buying 123 Main Street. Can you tell me what the electric bills, gas bills, water bills were for the last 12 months? Did you know they will actually give you the average? What about down payment assistance programs? Well, we got to see if you qualify. Reach out. There are a bunch of programs, and I am just killing myself because I have been meaning to put out a video on down payment assistance programs, but they keep coming and going, and it's like I'm not in the moment, and I got to go get re-educated, and then something else comes up. But next month, hold me to it. I'm going to put out a down payment assistance program video for you, and we can see if you qualify before you search. Don't do the search, find the house, and then go, oh, do I qualify for any down payment assistance programs? Next, what about if I have a lease right now? Well, ask your landlord. They may let you out of it because rents are going up. They can actually get rid of you and make more money. What about the lease on the house that I'm buying? Can I kick the people out? Well, I know in some states you can actually do that, but not in Nevada. You have to honor their lease until it's done. But at least this isn't California. So guess what? You see that crazy stuff about the Harvard grad who stayed in the guest house and played all kinds of tricks and demanded $100,000. That stuff doesn't happen here. So you ain't got to worry. When their time is up, and they got to go. People ask me, why is the seller selling? Because they're selling, okay? If it's a divorce, no matter what it is, it lets the house kill the person. You don't have to know. I know people want to know, and the real reason they want to know is because they want to see if that can be something they can use for negotiations. For that same reason, people aren't going to tell you. Here's another one I get. Why is the price so low? One, it's probably a mistake. Two, it's probably on purpose. The mistake is, I've told the story about accidentally putting in the wrong price by fat fingering it, and by the time I reached the gate, there were 8 calls to me. So within 5 minutes, I got 8 calls. I've had situations where people call me up. It's like, I found the perfect house, it's over here, and blah, blah. And you'll go like, that house is not that price. So there are just 1,000 mistakes like that. And they happen all day long. That's why you have these price changes in the MLS. Next, home warranties. Think about the company that's behind it, whether they pay or not. Work with your realtor on it, because let me tell you something. If a company is not paying, your realtor is going to be the first to know, and they're going to stop using that company. So let's just talk about the process real quick. Contact your lender, find out how much you can qualify for, get pre-approved, and your realtor brought the same time. At least they can start getting you set up, talking to you like we're talking today, where we're going through the entire process. Now you'll just start looking for homes that are on the MLS, or looking at new homes. Always like to give this example. A lot of people have cameras in their homes now. Yes, this is a 2-party consent state, but that's meant for electronic communication. In someone else's home, you have no expectation of privacy. What they're doing is actually legal. That has been determined to be legal. So don't say anything bad or anything in the house, even great. Don't say, oh my goodness, this is the greatest house in the world. I can't wait to make an offer. You just hosed your offer there, because they may be holding out for more because you loved it, okay? Go see the home. Here's the thing is, I recommend no more than 5. There are exceptions. Measure the house. If you look at your phone these days, there's a measuring app on it. Use that to measure the house, because the worst thing is, like, the house is occupied and you go like, well, how wide is the refrigerator area? How tall is the refrigerator area? You know what, do that ahead of time. Especially what I suggest is do this stuff during the inspection. 1, attend the inspection, and 2, measure this stuff out, or the questions you have, like to make sure your couch fits and stuff, measure it during the inspection. Next, what about virtual showings? That can happen, but you have to be a good virtual showing client, not someone who's wasting time. So even before the current NAR requirements or that are about to come into effect, you need to be under contract, aka have a buyer broker agreement, and actually have your loan set out and everything. An agent doesn't want to run around for you to then go, okay, great, I'm going to send it to my cousin, because that happens a lot, where someone will have someone show them houses and then send to their cousin who has a real estate license but really isn't practicing, so they can get some money. So that's a great thing that's kind of happening with what's going on. Of course, like we talked about before, it has to be in writing. Then we'll put the home in escrow. This is where we're going to probably have a little bit of a fight. I'm going to get into another video on escrow, but agents like to use their own escrow people, and it sometimes comes into a fight. To you, it makes no real difference. You'll deposit your EMD It needs to be a wire transfer. You'll receive your SRPD. You'll send that information to your lender, and they're going to provide your all information that you're going to need for underwriting. We'll do the inspection within your due diligence period. If it's solar, you should be receiving all of the documents related to the solar within 5 to 7 days. Receive and review your prelim, and receive and review your HOA documents. You can actually cancel for the HOA documents, and if it's been 15 days, it cancels automatically unless you extend. The lender is the one who's going to contact the appraiser because the bank is buying the home. They're going to follow the appraisal rules, and we're going to keep on top of the appraisal due dates. Answer the bank on any of the underwriting questions. There's a lot of little gotchas in there, including things like the caver system. Don't even try to hide anything from them, and keep up to date on everything. We'll arrange the signing for your escrow. Let your realtor know if you're out of town, because they can do it virtually. Not virtually. Well, for some loans, they can do it virtually. If it's cash, it can be virtual all the time, even before COVID. And then we just wait on the recording. Once it's recorded, you'll get your keys, and then you'll tell all your friends what a wonderful job your realtor had done. We just spent a lot of time together. Hope you found this to be useful. The video's laid out and it's truthful. You can keep coming back to it. I may make one that's more first-time home buyer friendly and some other things, but this is a good video to come to. Send this video out to your friends, share it, like it, leave some comments below. Any other videos that you need me to make that's going to make the process easier for you, especially if you're in the Las Vegas area. And just as importantly, if you're looking for a home to buy, sell, or invest here in the Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Henderson area, my information is down below. Please reach out.